Hey guys, I'm Mannequin and welcome back to Mastering EDM with FL Studio. So, this is the final video in our what was supposed to be two-part series talking about synth design, but I thought there were a few things that would be worth covering. So I did mention in the first video that I was going to talk about when you would use certain oscillator sounds. And really, it depends on a lot of things. So let's say we wanted to make something that kind of sounds like a whistle. So what we'd probably do is we'd probably want some sort of a smoothness to it. So we'd choose this one. And then we want maybe whistles sound hollow. So we'll get, actually, you know what, we'll make the smoothness the top one because it's at a default value for the volume. And then we'll get this one, we'll get some sort of hollow sound and we'll pitch it down an octave to kind of give us this sort of deeper sort of sound. And then maybe we want it to have a little bit of crispiness with a high note as well. So we'd get this triangle, which is very similar to a sine, and then we just bring it up an octave. And then we'll just reset all the detunes because a whistle you probably don't want detune. And what I mean by whistle is kind of like a flute. And that's a bad example because we still have all our envelopes and LFOs and stuff. So we'll reset this here. And I clicked the wrong tabs. Turn off the envelopes. Turn the filter all the way back open. And turn off the envelope for that. So then we'll get this. So it still sounds a little stiff. So maybe we'll turn down this square here. So now we kind of have a whistle sort of sound, and we could even mess around, try to get some, get it closer. And one of the things you actually do with a whistle is you want some white noise in there. But it'd be a very subtle amount, and you'd have to figure out how to work it in. But that's a lot more about more advanced synth design and actually replicating sounds, which is something that I'm not going to cover so much of because I'm not too good at it. I prefer to just come up with something unique when messing around in a synthesizer. So it doesn't sound too much like a flute, but maybe we could do something with the envelope for the volume. Kind of fade it in just a little bit. And then we'll get the envelope here, and we'll just turn down the filter a little bit and have it bring the filter up as well. So so it kind of sounds like it's opening up, and we'll do this. Turn down the filter a little bit more. And let's say we wanted some sort of plucky sort of sound, then we go to get the saws because those are very harsh, and we're used to those being harsh, so we could kind of mess around with these. And right now it still kind of sounds like a flute, but we could fix that. Just go to the volume, turn off the attack there, so it's really abrupt. And then what we need is the envelope to open up a lot more. So we'll open it all the way for now so that the filter's not doing anything. And it already sounds much different. But what we could do here is if we get the attack, turn it all the way down, and decay and mess with that, we could get this sort of plucky sound. So we're going to turn this all the way down again. And sustain is not down, so we have this sort of plucky sound that you've probably heard in some places. So you could have fun messing around with that, and it's really just, like I said, it's limited by your imagination. So now we're going to do something that you've probably noticed. I've been hitting multiple keys at the same time. We're going to go in and we're going to do something different. So if you look at the polyphony, polyphony, however you say it, we currently have no maximum value. So I could go like this and hit a whole bunch of keys on my keyboard. Now, if we make it a max of 1, we could do a whole bunch of interesting things to this. But what we're going to start out with is we're actually just going to, I think monophonic might actually default it to 1. Yeah, probably does. So you'll notice, even though I'm hitting multiple keys, it's only one note. I should change it so that the envelope's not closing all the way. We'll do this. So you notice how when I hit the first note, there's the pluck, but the little sharp part, but you don't have that on the following notes. That's because we're in mono mode. Now if we set it to portamento, if I recall correctly, what it does is portamento just has the slide. It doesn't have that sort of losing the plug at the beginning. So I think I talked about this in a previous video in some ways, how it doesn't re-trigger the envelopes. It just kind of stays where it's at. Yeah, I believe I did. So so what we could do is with this portamento, if we set it to one voice, then we get what's called re-trigger. So what it does is it re-triggers all the envelopes every single time, but it still does a slide thing. And if we turn on both of these, it also allows us to do something. So so what I could do is I could hold notes, bounce another note, and it'll kind of move between them. Whereas if I have mono off, it just kills the first note. So this is a little bit weird that FL chose to do this sort of layout. Usually you'll find something like this where you have glide mode and glide time. So let's see if I can figure out how this one works, because I've never used SAR before. Just gonna be honest here. And so we're gonna make the attack on this, and we're gonna turn the cutoff all the way up. See if I can make this a little less rough. Subsaw. Noise level, yeah, it's off. Sync frequency. Oh, we have some weird effects going on here, that's why. So I'd have to mess with those, but I don't think I quite, yeah. Every few minutes, yeah, I don't even have SAR, so. But like I said, the layout tends to be different when you're using other synthesizers by way of number of voices. So you can see we could change it to one or mono, so there is actually a difference because we have glide time right here. So glide time is always on, so you can't hear it right now with this particular preset, but the amount it glides, which it slides between notes, is determined by this. If we have it 0, it's off. If we have it up here, it's on. If we have polyphony, whatever you want to call it, poly set to 1, then it will re-trigger the envelopes every single time. If we set it to mono, then it will just slide. And then once again, if I set it to, wrong button, if I set it to 1, it re-triggers it each time. Even though it glides. So that's pretty much all you need to know. I mean, there are some things here. This is echo and delay. We're not going to talk about this because this is actually various effects here that we could use. And key tracking is not something that we're going to worry about either. Because that's something that's a more advanced technique. Arpeggiator is something that's kind of like something all on its own, so we're not going to talk about that for now. And these adjustments are, you can kind of tell, pan, volume, modulate, mod X, mod Y, which are for the filters. And those are just things you kind of mess with. So, so really, there's not that much for me to cover in this basic synth design series here now, because I think I've pretty much covered all the bases that you need to get in and just grab any synthesizer. And okay, whatever. So we'll try replace. I don't know. Give me something weird. How about? Oh, citrus is painful. I'm just gonna be honest. We'll do harmless. So this one here. Oh, this one's actually. It looks a lot simpler than some of the other ones here. So, and then also a lot harder because there's less buttons and knobs and stuff, but you could probably tell there's some weird things here. Harmonic mask, what the heck is that? We have what looks like the attack, decay, and release for probably our volume, and then we could I imagine we could find a filter in here somewhere, but yeah, there's things that you'll find that are a lot easier to identify once you learn the basics in something simple, and you could just transfer it all over. So yeah, it appears Harmless is a bit of a weirder synthesizer. It does have a filter here. You can see the filter, and we can do stuff with it. It's just a matter of learning how everything really works here. We have a attack, decay, amount, stuff like that. So that's all fine and dandy. But anyway, hopefully this was helpful, giving you an introduction to synth design. You don't need to know too much, just enough to kind of go into a synthesizer and tweak things up and kind of have an idea what you're doing. Remember, when in doubt, play around. Like I said, I cannot cover things like Toxic, Biohazard, and SAR, and Harmless because I just have the demo version. And in addition, I don't really use them because I just have the demo version, so I don't know that much about them. But you could definitely jump in and start doing some stuff. If you want to have a more advanced synthesizer to get started with, Citrus is your best bet because you have a lot of options. It looks pretty basic on the surface. Volume, filter, unison, which is actually something that's pretty fun to mess around with when you play with these. And except for when you get to this here, which is pretty hard to actually really get used to. But anyway, hopefully this video was helpful for you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.